Start with airlines. We just heard on this program from Ed Bastian, the CEO of Delta, that they are on their way back. It's going to take a little while, but they're really on their way back. And stocks, by the way, airline stocks came up this week as there were reports of more bookings. What are we learning about the economy and the markets from what's going on with the airlines?
Well, I'm surprised at what's happened to the total value of airlines. If you look at their equity plus the value of their debt, it's remarkably close to where it had been before COVID. I wonder whether the market's a little ahead of itself with respect to the airlines. I think there are a number of stocks. Hertz was another one as it was going through bankruptcy that retail have been piling into as a kind of bet that this crisis is going to resolve itself fairly quickly. I think airlines will work themselves out of this some which way. They will cut costs. They will cut the number of flights they are running. They will probably jack up prices to cover the costs of lower occupancy factors. But I suspect it's going to be a difficult period ahead for the airline industry. And I think that the world has changed because of what technology is making possible. And there are going to be many fewer road warriors in American business than there ever have been before. And that's going to take a lasting toll on airline bookings. So I kind of think this is a microcosm of an issue that we have generally in the economy, that markets may be getting a little ahead of some genuinely favorable news that we are turning back. But in some areas, I think markets are probably a bit ahead of reality.
So that's the airline industry. Let's talk about digital right now, technology in particular. That technology really has been on a tear for some time now. The COVID-19 has not slowed it down much at all. At the same time, there is this issue about digital taxation as countries around the world are saying, we want to tax some of what you're doing right now. We thought we were negotiating an international deal about how we're going to have digital services taxes. And then the U.S. actually pulled out. Steve Mnuchin, the Treasury Secretary, pulled out. The Europeans didn't take it well. They said it was a very provocative act. They're going to go their own way. What might this mean for the future of digital and technology?
Well, let's separate two issues. This is a good time for technology companies. The fact that we're all working out of our homes, the fact that we're all doing our shopping out of our homes, the fact that we're all having our social interactions out of our homes, the platform companies that enable all of that, this is a terrific opportunity. They are rapidly growing companies that have secure cash flows well into the future in an era when interest rates have come way down. So they're long duration companies, to put it in financial parlance, and that's also contributed to the strength of their stocks. So it's a good time to be a big technology platform company. It's a time when they're earning more rents than they ever have before. There was an important, very substantial issue of their undertaxation before. The nature of their business made it very difficult to trace their income to any individual country. And therefore, they were able to locate income in tax havens, in some of the lowest tax countries in the world, or they were able to locate income in cyberspace where it wasn't deemed to be part of any country. And therefore, on a global basis, those companies have paid remarkably little in taxes relative to their market value. It's actually been at the edge of abusive for some years. It was exactly the right kind of thing that globalization negotiation should be about, to try to take on that problem and to have a global cooperative regime so that we could tax the profits of these extraordinarily fortunate companies and their stockholders. I don't know what exactly the right position is. on the details of the negotiation. And I recognize that there is some risk of a gang up on America aspect in this because most of the companies that have this tremendous platform capacity are American. Think of Amazon or Google or Facebook or Microsoft, Apple. But God, the job of the Secretary of the Treasury is to be standing up for 330 million American citizens, not 10 American tech companies that pay less taxes than the secretaries who work within them pay as a share of income. And so to see the United States adding this negotiation over global tax fairness to the list of negotiations it's torpedoed in recent years, I really wasn't happy to see that. And I think that the Secretary of the Treasury should be looking to be as constructive as he can with respect to a very difficult problem, not to be doing battle for the economic interests of trillion-dollar companies that between them don't employ 1% of the American people.
And finally, Larry, let's take a sector near and dear to your heart. That's higher education. You not only are a professor at Harvard, you ran Harvard for a time, and of course you know higher education very, very well. How is higher education in the United States going to come out of this pandemic? Because there's a lot of uncertainty about kids going back to school come September.
So the issue everybody's excited about is what's going to happen in September, and truth is nobody knows. Everybody's watching everybody else. And they've got to be very careful because if you think about it, a college dorm is a lot like a cruise ship. People who are in close quarters, people who are often inebriated, people who are looking for companionship, shall we say. And cruise ships are hotbeds of contagion, and college dorms may be as well. And the first obligation of any university president is to make sure that her university isn't a major source of contagion to the community. So I think they've got to be very careful, even as important as it is, with respect to bringing kids back. But really, the question is this moment going to be the catalyst for major structural reform in higher education that emphasizes the capacity of technology to cause materials to reach a very large scale, rather than calculus being taught 5,000 times every fall semester in 5,000 different high schools and colleges? Are we going to figure out to use technology to bring the best performances of instruction to the most people, use technology to permit personalization where you receive input at a rate that depends on your own ability to absorb it, which is being measured continuously with little quizzes, use technology to enable customization and tailoring of intellectual materials to the individual student. What should be happening is universities should be stretching and competing to be the leader. I'm not sure, frankly, that universities have the courage to be so dynamic.